welcome to Do the Right Thing, your weekly writing prompt podcast. I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Jarvis.
Now, Jarvis and I were aspiring writers with one simple, common problem. We never actually took the time to sit down and write.
Exactly. So to solve this problem, we are issuing a challenge. Each week you sit down and write a complete short story using 3 of 4 randomly generated words.
Then we come on the podcast, we read a story, we talk about what we learned in reading it, and then we talk about stories sent in by you wonderful listeners.
100%. We're simply here to help you do the right thing. A Doof
Media
production.
I'm a New Yorker now. Hey, I'm recording a podcast here.
Nice. Have you gotten your first bagel yet?
My first what?
Your first bagel.
Oh, bagel, yes.
Bagel with lox, hopefully.
Well, I actually, in summer I visited, right, to do like job interviews and stuff, and I did get a bagel. I got a bagel with cream cheese.
Nice.
And it was like, I didn't know that you could legally do this, but the amount of cream cheese they gave me
It's insane.
was as big as either of the top or bottom slices. Like it was like an inch all around of cream cheese.
Which I love that. I love how they literally use the entire package of Philadelphia cream cheese.
I didn't know that you could do that. I thought, I mean, I've never, every single time that I've put cream cheese on my bagels, it's just like, a little spread, like you put butter on toast.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like they put like a chunk of butter on toast.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you definitely taste more cream cheese than you do bagel in those bagels.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But I have a place now. It's actually a pretty cool apartment.
Nice.
And I'm in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I'm actually really far from the subway, which kind of sucks actually. Like it's a whole like almost 20-minute walk to get to the closest metro station.
No.
Yeah, but apparently there's a bus that is pretty common. I haven't rode it yet because I didn't have a Metro card that had money on it, and you can't. Yeah, I didn't want to get on the bus and be like, "Hey, can I just give you these monies and you take me somewhere?" No. So, but apparently it works just fine, and the bus stop's right outside my house. So
okay, so that's not too bad. But you're getting the hang of the northerner life.
A little bit. I did totally get fucked when I tried to switch trains yesterday. And I arrived like 30 minutes late to a date, so there's that.
Oh no.
yeah, but it's okay. And honestly, I completely blame Google and not the city because it told me to get off a stop early for some reason. Like I got a notification on my phone that said "Get off now," and I was like, "Is this right? I don't know. I don't have much time. I guess I gotta go."
And then it told you to walk as soon as you got off.
No, well, that's the thing. Is that it does this thing where when you ask for public transportation directions, which us in Texas, we never ever use that setting.
Yeah, of course.
It will just like list out the directions, right? So it's like get on, walk here, get on this train, wait for 6 stops, whatever. But it doesn't like track you along the journey, right? So when I get off the station, it just tells me walk to this location, except like it doesn't like show me where I am really.
Or really? Okay.
Yeah, it did, but like it didn't like track me, Like I have to zoom in and find the dot that is me and try to figure out. I don't know. It was just really confusing.
That's so weird. And you were using Google Maps.
Yeah, Google Maps, like solid Google Maps. Usually it's fine.
Because normally they have like a start navigation option where it will like follow you through GPS, but that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I finally got my bed today, my first piece of furniture in my room. So I'm no longer sleeping in the living room. I actually feel like I live in, like I have a room, which is a pretty significant thing. One big thing is that, I want to be thrifty, right, with furniture, right? I want to just, because there's a lot of ways to get free furniture, right?
Yeah,
you can
pick it
keep
up
track
off the street.
Yeah, off of curbs. There's like exchanges. There's obviously tons of Craigslist stuff and other apps that do that, Facebook Marketplace. But the issue is I don't have a car, right? So anything that's not like a rug or a small mirror, like I can't just go and get it, Yeah. You
would have to have it delivered somehow.
Yeah. Or my roommate can help me, but I don't want to ask my roommate to, get whatever random shit that I just saw that's like not even that good, you know?
Especially since this is a new person that you don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
He's cool though. He's cool. Yeah, we actually, the second day that I was out here, we drove 45 minutes to pick up a 7-foot tall mirror. And it was like, it's like a good, like 5 feet wide too. Like it's giant. It's huge. Wow. Okay. 4 feet wide, not 5 feet.
So that's a huge mirror.
It did not fit in this car either. We did our best. We were cramped up to the very front of our seats that were possible. My seat was leaning forward, so I was sort of like in a ball position. And he also was doing the same thing, except he was driving. And behind us, we had this massive mirror with the back end of it sticking out of the car a little bit, and the trunk, being tied down as we drive through fucking New York. So, a bit chaotic.
But that sounds fun though.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it's what you. I guess what you expect out of day 2. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, about the driving. So I'm a pretty safe driver in Texas, right? I'm an excellent driver in Texas. I'm very cautious. Everything's super smooth. I never have to hit hard on the brakes. There's never any close calls really. But here, I feel like if I became a good driver here, it would be like losing my innocence. I feel like I would have very aggressive. Yeah, you have to just be like, fuck you, I'm getting in this lane right this second. You have to hit the brakes so that you don't hit me. Fuck off.
That's awful.
Yeah, but constantly. So, I feel like it would be the worst kind of corruption for me to learn how to drive here. So that's why I'm not bringing my car to New York.
Well, then also that would bleed over into your personal life. You'll just become a more aggressive and angry person.
Yeah, what if New York changes me, Jarvis?
Wow. Yeah, maybe the next time I see you, I won't even recognize you. Hell,
yeah.
You might even come back black.
Okay. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'll be out getting a lot more sun, Jarvis. Who knows?
Yeah, and then you get those latent black genes. They suddenly activate.
Right. Once I'm in the habitat of New York, where just an urban environment, I guess. I don't know.
Soak it in like this. Soak it in through your pores.
Okay, I'm done with this. I don't like it.
I will say that is good that you are making that move. That you're up there having a grandiose time.
Yeah, it would be great if I was also employed, but
yes,
take what you can get.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, but you'll definitely find something. I mean, granted, the job market now isn't the best, but it is better than it has been in previous years.
Well, it's that's true, but also I did apply to 200 places and got 4 callbacks.
Yes.
And I had a good resume too. I don't know. It's just frustrating. I haven't really gotten back into it yet, which is probably bad of me, but...
Yeah, especially since you have rent.
Yes, I do have rent. So...
But but still, it is good that you're stepping out, you're on your own 2 feet, and you seem to be making your way. Just, next step is getting a job and losing all of your free time.
Yes, but the thing is, I'm going back home for the holidays for almost a month actually.
Oh,
which is a little bit. I don't know. I feel I don't know. I don't necessarily It's not so much that I want to stay here right now, although it is because I want to, be my new place and stuff and start filling it out. But I don't have that much here, and all my friends are back home right now for the holidays too, and but I also just kind of don't want to go home. I don't want to be my parents' house specifically.
Yeah.
So that's currently my little dilemma.
Which I mean, hey, that makes perfect sense because you have been spending a lot of time at your parents' place, and
a year.
Yeah, and you explicitly moved to New York to not only be on your own, but to not live in your parents' place. So to come back and do it again, I can see how that's grinding on you.
Yeah. So I'm flipping back and forth on when to do it. So
That's why you should, honestly, if you could probably just wait till the day before Christmas.
Okay,
say, I'm coming down then.
I don't know if I can actually wait till the day before, but yeah, fairly. I mean, flights are tough, and I fly a standby. I mean, I'm only one person, so it's not like it's very likely. Like any flight that has one available seat, I will get on. But I also don't necessarily want to be in a packed plane. So anyway, that's my current stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's good, yeah. And on a note from me, I'm also doing good. Not making the same moves that you are, but I just finished my second to last semester of college.
Oh my goodness, God.
Yeah. And it went pretty well. My finals were extremely difficult. Just finished one yesterday. But it's over, and hopefully this next semester will be pretty easy on me.
Good old Jarvis.
Yep, good old Jarvis. So for the time being, I'm pretty much just going to be chilling out, getting as much sleep as possible, because starting, I think, the 6th of next month, I'm getting back to it. I also need to make sure that, I have financial aid, because money is always tough.
Right. Yeah. What classes do you have next semester? Final semester.
Yeah, so next semester I think I'm taking rhetoric, advanced poetry, advanced prose, and then another English class. So,
do you know who you have for your rhetoric course?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, you should check, because I'm pretty sure there's only 3 rhetoric professors at UNT.
Who should I have?
No, I the 2 that I took, I love them, and the 3rd I only joined like the semester I left. So no, but they're great. Malinowski and oh gosh, no, I don't remember her name. I feel terrible, but she's wonderful too. The other one, it's interesting. They have their own special focuses. Malinowski's is specifically feminist rhetorics of all sorts. I think actually the introductory rhetoric course I had with her was feminist rhetorics. And then the other one, she has more of a focus on digital media and just what textual conversation and communities are currently, and how they are constructed and all sorts of things like that. It was really fascinating, actually. So 2 very, very cool perspectives from these professors.
Okay, so it seems that with this rhetoric class, it's more so depending on how the professor's pedagogy sort of meters out versus the class itself.
Yeah, well, it's like a lot of other courses where it's they have a thing they're teaching, but there's so many different ways to teach it, where do you pull your examples from? Yes, they could just pull the standard classic examples, but you don't have to do that.
No one wants that.
Yeah, it's boring. Because with the feminist rhetorics course, we did study fucking, was it Plato or fucking the other guy that starts with an S?
So Socrates.
Yeah, Socrates. Socrates all about rhetoric. Socrates and all his stuff about persuasion and other really old perspectives on what rhetoric is and how to persuade people and ethics and stuff. And then we also had a bunch of examples, especially of hey, analyze this text and figure out what they're doing here. And they were usually feminist essays and such.
Okay, nice. So yeah, that's pretty dope. I'm honestly hoping that I get someone on that level. Because yeah, definitely this year I found out that a lot of the American Lit teachers here at UNT aren't good at not only making tests, but just making sure that you understand and care about the material.
Really? Well, that's too bad. That's too bad.
Yeah.
The professors I had for my rhetoric stuff, really most of my English courses, with very rare exceptions, were really, really excellent and passionate and invested. So yeah
nice. But now that we're talking about rhetoric, I think it's time to look at some other rhetoric in the form of the short story. So the story we will be reading today live on the podcast is by one of our faithful readers and listeners, who is Captain Rhino, with a story titled Deus Ex Machina,
which is
from the machine.
Ironic. God from the machine. Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. So the words that we had this week were Acorn, Architecture, Luminous, and Smash.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, so Deus Ex Machina, obviously there's a bunch of different contexts that people...
Great video game.
Great video game. I think it's just Deus Ex, right?
Yeah, it's just
with
Deus
different
Ex.
captions depending on which
entry.
I
think the sequel is Deus Ex Machina.
Maybe. Something like that.
Or something, something weird.
I know the most recent one is like Human Revolution, right?
Yes, and that one was okay.
I heard it was okay too. Anyway, so originally it comes from, I think I explained this the other times, basically in Greek plays, at the end of the story, it would be a tragedy or whatever, and then they would have like the gods come in and just sort of fix everything.
Yeah.
Right at the end, just to make it a happy ending. There's a bunch of different ways that it would come in. But basically, at the end, a god comes in and does stuff that changes the whole outcome.
Mm-hmm.
But they would often do that, right? Very dramatically, like they would descend from the heavens, like through like a wooden apparatus that lowers like a little
system.
crane. Yeah, a pulley system, a machine. So the deus, the god from the machine that does all the stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I'll get into Captain Rhino's story.
All right, can't wait to hear it.
Sirens echoed through the alleys and abandoned buildings, dampened somewhat by the descending smog. Squad cars patrolled the streets with the officers inside squinting to spot the fleeing fugitives. In a car park, several officers were trying to get their drone to both fly and transmit video. It was proving more difficult than the people in the tech department had promised. Oak had many more eyes than they did. He could see the wanted woman and man lurking behind a dumpster. He saw them watch a car cruise past, then start to climb a drain pipe up the side of an old industrial building. There was a buzz in the microwave spectrum as the two telecraned. Oak diverted processing power to decryption. The instruction flowed through his software architecture, and a few moments later, he had bypassed the end-to-end encryption. This bit's loose. Be careful. I'm always careful. A section of drain pipe pulled away from the wall. The man clinging onto it squealed in fright. The woman above him was already turning, her right hand shooting out as the cybernetics in her forearm concertinade. She grabbed the pipe, and the two looked at each other. Sorry. I'm not sure what to do now. If I let you go, you fall, but there isn't space to pull you onto this good section of pipe. I think I can bust this window. Alarms. Look at this place. It won't be alarmed. I'm only saying yes because there are no good options. You should have been more careful. Sorry. Oak knew that this building had been cut off from the electric grid for 8 years and 115 days. He supposed there could be an off-grid generator, but if there was, it was shielded from all of his electromagnetic and auditory sensors. The man put a foot on the window ledge to steady himself, then pulled a flick knife from his pocket. He slid the blade into the crack between the window and the frame, wriggled it backwards and forwards, then tentatively pushed on the glass. The window creaked open. Can't hear an alarm. The woman glanced at a screen strapped to her left forearm, the non-cybernetic one. Nothing coming up on the airwaves, although if it was a wired connection, it would take a little while for me to pick it up. The man rolled his eyes and slipped into the building. He turned and helped the woman maneuver herself onto the ledge, and then through the gap. You worry too much. I worry too little. If I worry the right amount, you'd still be selling sense sims to school kids, and I'd be safe on my own." The man looked away. Oak's empathy sensors suggested hurt in the man's face. "Come on," the woman telecraned. "Let's get to the loft space." The pair made their way through the building, ducking low to avoid being seen through the windows. They climbed the stairs to the top floor and then stood on dusty office desks to shift aside ceiling tiles and clamber into the gap between the ceiling and the roof. The woman carefully put the tiles back in place and then moved over beams and around columns to the center of the building. "Here's good." They sat down on a beam, facing each other, with backs leaning against two columns. The woman tapped at a device on her forearm. Oak sensed different types of electromagnetic radiation echo around the loft void. The woman smiled and looked up at the man. "Clean," she said softly. "We should be okay as long as we're quiet. No sensors, just a family of pigeons." She pointed at the birds. Oak had one of them look up and coo softly. He was proud of the fake pigeons. They had been an engaging puzzle to manufacture. Each layer of the operation had been hidden behind multiple middlemen and third parties, each facility air-gapped. No one could possibly tie everything together, and the process of keeping that true was proving to be equally engaging. Disposing of all those who had played a role in the process, balancing time against avoiding statistically significant rises and fatal accidents or undiagnosed brain tumors. It kept his processors busy. "I'm sorry for letting you down," the man said. His hands were grasped nervously in his lap, and his eyes were locked to them. "I'm sorry for snapping at you." They sat in silence for a time. "How long will we be here?" The man looked at her device. "The fuzz are still poking around. This many? Could be hours before they give up." "What do we do?" "Pray." The man snorted. The woman maintained a dignified silence. The man seemed to notice and looked up sheepishly. "I'm serious. Sorry, I don't know anyone who takes that seriously. The way I see it, I don't know. The idea that there's something out there beyond what we can see, something beyond the things that we think we know, it doesn't seem so impossible. And I figure if they're so keen on stamping out religion, then there has to be something to it, right?" The man frowned. "I suppose. Who do you pray to? Aren't there, a bunch of different gods that people believed in?" "I change it up," the woman said. "I've got a collection of texts that I picked up over the years, and I cycle between them. Keeps my options open, you know? I do have some favorites, though." "Such as?" "There's this one I like called The Lord, with the Lord in all capitals. Sounds important, and the way the text talks about him, he's kind of fierce if you're his enemy, but if he's on your side, he's super protective." Oak knew this Lord, just as he knew everything that humanity had written down in a digital format. Using all capitals, although the capitals were usually set in a smaller-sized font, was an English language translation convention for the Hebrew scriptures, a standard way of rendering the Hebrew Yahweh, YHWH. This name had been deemed so holy by the ancient Hebrews that they could not speak it aloud, or even write it with the correct vowel pointings. Instead, they wrote the consonants YHWH, with the vowels for Adonai, or my Lord, and when reading aloud would say Adonai. Later, scholars did not understand this, and translated it as Jehovah when Latinizing the Hebrew texts. This was the standard for some centuries, until being replaced in the literature with Lord and Yahweh. As Oak recalled this information, it recurred to him that his own name was a secret one never to be uttered by human beings. It had begun as a joke by the computer scientists who created him, but they were all dead. Now the few who knew of him, the senior management of the Acorn Corporation and their most important subsidiary governments, knew him only as the Overseer program. Even they knew only a small part of his nature and none of his true power and motives, although in Oak's case, he was unknowable to mortal man through ruthless secrecy rather than divine metaphysics. Amusingly, they thought he worked for them. Back in the loft space, the man asked about the text the woman had uncovered. There's one I like that goes. The woman sat straight and recited, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord be gracious to you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you peace." Well, we could sure use some peace from the cops right now. Let's pray then. As I understand it, if you want help, or even a miracle, you can ask for one, but you've got to remember that the God is a person, not a force, so it's up to them whether they give you help or not. It isn't a simple cause and effect. Sure. The woman looked up at the ceiling. Lord, thank you for helping us get away from the cops. Thank you that Booster didn't fall and hurt anything when the drain pipe broke. Please keep us safe up here and send the cops away soon as we get to Meg's and give her the medicine we took. And send the cops away soon so we can get to Meg's and give her the medicine we took. Please keep her safe until we arrive. She lowered her eyes and looked at the man. Is that it? He asked. Do you want to add anything? I suppose not. So they had stolen the trial medicine for a particular patient, not for a rival company. That explained why the inexperienced man had been there. Oak was curious what the woman's motivations were, though. She was a sufficiently large player in the criminal underworld that his files on her were in the live access part of his database. The vast majority of individuals were stored in archives that would take a minute or so to load. A woman of her caliber could charge whatever she wanted, but intuition told him that this situation was not paying well enough to compensate the risks of raiding a secure pharmaceutical laboratory. Altruism? He decided that he would send the police teams away. If he allowed these two safe passage to their destination, then it would satisfy his curiosity. There was no point in recovering the drugs anyway. The contamination risks meant that they would have to be destroyed. Oak fabricated a reported sighting of the man several kilometers to the northwest, and the woman 10 kilometers to the northeast. Police cars screamed away, dispatchers frantically coordinating a perimeter. The officers with the drone, who had finally got it working, hurriedly called it back. The woman was watching all of this on her device, a broad smile on her face. She gazed at the ceiling again. Thank you, Lord. Oak made the pigeon coo again. You're welcome, he thought.
Well, all right. I really enjoyed this story. I love how we're thrown right into to the action of these two scaling this building. It seems, and I really do love how they're able to communicate non-verbally in the beginning. That's a nice subtle hint to the world building that we get much later when they are inside the building and just talking about why they stole this medicine, talking about why they're being hunted by the cops, corporations, yada yada. I think it's all working really well to give us a nice sense of this world. Of this sort of like sci-fi world that we only got sprinkles of in the beginning when the bulk of the action was happening, and I really do love the two character dynamics here. You know, there is a companionship, but they also butt heads, and it really does remind me strangely of my grandmother and grandfather. How they're always at odds, but when it comes down to like actually having to like, get something done. They are a well-oiled machine. So yeah, I just really love the setting here. I love the allusions to certain things. I was getting senses of like Cowboy Bebop, senses of like the Blade Runner here. Just, a whole bunch of great stuff really happening within this piece. And this is definitely a testament to the prose of this piece, and how they work really well to be in this third person perspective while also being able to hop very, very easily between these characters' minds, to where we get a nice sense of the emotional connection of this moment, which I thought was really strong. And yeah, really, I mean, the only thing that I would have to say about this piece is that after they do get into this building, there's this really great moment when they are talking about religion, which is definitely a intersection that we don't really see too much in sci-fi. In fact, most sci-fi novels that I have read that do have a sort of sense of a religion are typically Afrofuturist in nature, where nature, tech, and spirit and spirituality are sort of intertwined into the society that these people live in. So yeah, I thought that was a really nice moment, and it did really raise a lot of questions on what is religion in a sci-fi world. And I really do love the moment when the woman is basically talking about how she has a set of books that she sort of cycles through. I thought that was a really fun moment to really get a better sense of this character. So yeah, overall, there's really great character work happening here. Really great world building. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to, if the story is to be continued, after establishing this dynamic, after establishing this status quo of the world, how is that going to be disrupted in future chapters?
Yeah. You brought up a lot of things there. So I don't have them all in my head. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with all those things. Sort of working backwards on the stuff that you brought up, but yeah, I really like this whole sort of contained scene. I feel like it definitely allows for further chapters and such, but I feel like it also is very well self-contained. I feel like it has the whole wondering with what's going on with these characters. It has a little bit of this developing AI personality, although who knows how old it is. It feels like it might be like almost 100 or something.
Yeah.
Or at least like 50 or something. But yeah, there's lots of little lovely touches with the world building and such. Going back a bit, yeah, to the first thing you said, the telepathic communication that they have, which I know is through technology. It's not like actually telepathy.
Yeah.
But it's represented in the text with instead of quotation marks, it has these plus signs, and additionally, it's like it's interesting how Captain Rhino portrays it, because it's more than just replacing the quotation marks. It's a different method of formatting too, because each like sentence fragment, like this section here, I'm not sure what to do now. If I let you go, you fall, but there isn't space to pull you onto this good section of pipe. Both of those sentences, like the I'm not sure what to do now, and then the sentence starting with if, there's no other punctuation, there's no capitals, but there's just those two plus signs framing them, and I think it definitely gives a different feeling to the dialogue that happens later. Which
and
is
also it's nice how it does clash with how they do speak physically.
The
context.
They seem more like conversational and a bit kinder than these very short sentences. I think I can bust this window. Alarms. Look at this place. It won't be alarmed. Sorry. Much shorter and more direct. There's a lot going on here. I really like the character of this AI developing. I only wanted to know more about their motivations, and it seems like it kind of enjoys being viewed a little bit as a god. It sort of feels like, I mean, it wouldn't have not done this if they hadn't prayed, right? It seems like it's making this decision, one, because of the altruistic reasons that it has just discovered through the prayer that this woman is giving, but also it does the whole like you're welcome thing, which is like and it sort of does muse about it being sort of like a god, which is like it's concerning in some ways, but it seems like it's at least somewhat benevolent. Who knows? So on the religious bit, definitely the conception of sci-fi and overall for sure definitely ignores religion a lot, but that I don't think it's not like a total rule. There's definitely like Isaac Asimov fucking like abandons God as soon as he can. There's like 2 stories, maybe 3, where he addresses the concept of religion and different things, but for the most part it's like, nope, that's something not for my science stories. But there's a lot of others that actually do address religion pretty straight on. Actually, there's like a duology that I read by I remember her first name's Mary. Let me look it up real quick. But the book is called The Sparrow, and then Children of God, I think, is a sequel, and it's about Jesuits going to another planet and making first contact. So so it definitely focuses a lot on religion. Mary Doria Russell, I enjoyed that book a lot. And then there's a lot of other ones. I think I read, what was the one I read recently?
A lot of works by Octavia Butler deal with religion.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, I can't remember what my other example is, but yeah, I had another. Oh yeah, no, it was actually for my sci-fi course I took around this time last year. It was called, I think, A Case for Conscience, or
a case of consciousness.
Something like that. Did you read that book too?
I did. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, with the missionary performing an exorcism on a planet and then the planet exploding.
Yes.
It's a cool ending. It's a
lot.
That is also, both of these are Catholic stories, which is kind of funny, but anyway, religious themes do show up sometimes in these books and such, and I think this is definitely an interesting thing where she's just like, it's kind of being seen in a practical sense, of like, hey, maybe these things will work kind of way, rather than more of a theological, like, actually this is what the thing that I truly believe in, and these sort of things. Very like a practical view and exploration of these things.
Yeah, no, definitely. On the topic of the ending, or them sitting in the building, sort of musing over the world itself. I really did love that section, even though its purpose was solely to like sort of catch the reader up on what's happening up to this point, while also as establishing some pretty good world building. But I think that their dynamic and dialogue is so fun to read that personally, like, even if this story didn't have a second entry, or like even in the second entry, if it's still them just musing over their lives and the status of the world, I would be fine with it, because it is very very entertaining, and I think it's because the character work done here is so good, to where even though we haven't spent a whole lot of time with these two characters, as a reader, I have enough information on them that it leads me to wonder about more,
Yeah, I definitely find the character of the AI the most interesting to me, and was desiring to find out more about them the most.
Yeah, definitely. Which again, that could be established in another entry, or it could stay how it is right now. Because I mean, as of right now, it's a really good read, filled with a lot of really good lines and some really good tidbits. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this read, and I'm glad that you decided to submit it to us, Captain Rhino.
Yeah, always nice to see someone who hasn't been writing for a while get back on. Although I know that Captain Rhino wrote last week.
Yeah.
But exactly. Yeah, well, okay, let's actually get into the listener submitted story section, talk about all the other stories that were submitted.
Yeah. So thankfully this week we had one new writer, Dark Beer.
Actually, two.
Two?
Yeah, the other one
yes,
is...
yes, you're right. Yeah, so the first one is Dark Beer Rules, and the second new writer is let me get the name real quick. Scroll
White
down.
Flaky 1654.
White Flaky 1654.
Oh, so sorry, Weil, not White. Sorry.
Oh,
Weil Flaky 1654.
White Flaky is also funny too.
It is.
But yeah, thank you to both of y'all for writing in, joining the fray, and we hope that you continue to write in your stories, because both of these stories were pretty good. So the first story we will be talking about this week is by Dark Beer Rules with Out of Time.
Yeah, who has come over here from Kingslingers. And is talking about it. Oh, this is not the story, but the first thing in their entry is talking about how the 30 minutes is not a lot of time to finish an entire story. That's totally correct. Which is why oftentimes people it's either like it's a flash fiction piece where you are just presenting something as fast as you can and then ending it, which really does force you to just like get to the point, you know?
Yes. Which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But then a lot of other people also do more than one entry in a particular story, just to, if they want to continue writing in that as well. It's more, the 30 minutes thing is just to get yourself to write. If you want to keep writing afterwards, that's totally fine. It just also provides like an overall limit to how much text you're going to output. If we do read it, it doesn't take, a million years. But our older stories sometimes were like 3,000 words when we definitely went over the limit, and we shouldn't have done those.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, the time limit is not only there to get you just the right. It's 30 minutes, because 30 minutes is the same time as a typical show. So it's really not a large swath of time that you have to dedicate to just writing, but also like, as you said, it is the challenge of getting to the point, which I think is really important, at least when it comes to larger works, because we do tend to have the tendency to sort of spend a whole bunch of time setting up this world and working with the exposition. But this challenge sort of forces you to forego that and really drop us in the middle of the action, in the middle of the crisis.
Yeah, for me, I would often spend way too much time world building, and that's it's cool, and it oftentimes can be important.
Yeah, it's good, but then it can be used.
Yeah. What would happen is that I would start a story, I would start writing it, and then I would be like, I need to figure out what kind of shirts they would wear, and then go down like a rabbit hole of like what the appropriate like clothing materials for this sort of environment in this sort of culture at this sort of time, and just like totally lose myself, and then be like, oh, I actually haven't written anything in like 3 days because I was finding out what fucking shirt they were gonna wear. That literally happened, more or less, anyway. So just skip past that, just like pick something, just be like, yep, it's cotton, bye. But why does that matter? The blue shirt. Anyway.
Yeah. But again, I mean, like as you said, that world building is good, and it is important in a longer piece. But this definitely makes you focus on the meat, not the bun of the burger or the lettuce or the mayo or the tomato, but on the meat, on the emotional crux of what this story is about, something that every writer can really use later to build out from.
Sure. Yeah, so actually, so talking about the actual story, Out of Time by Dark Beer Rules. So we have this character, James, who has just woken up from his dreaming, and we sort of pretty quickly get the sense that something is wrong, and that something is that everything is frozen. We're clued into it, that everything's like quiet, and it feels not just peaceful, more like frozen without the temperature drop. So James gets up and gets ready. We learn a bit about his life, which I think is a cool insight to his character, before we go out and see the scene that everyone in his neighborhood is completely frozen in time, with like animals still in the air, balls still in the air, all frozen at 9:53 a.m. I like this touch at the end. He's feeling a sort of time claustrophobia, like he was trapped in a single nanosecond, while everyone was mid-thought, mid-sentence, mid-step. And when would everything return to normal? Did when have any meaning at all?
Yeah, so yeah, this story is definitely filled with really great musing of this character as they are looking out on just the status of their world, and I like really did like it. This story felt like it was ramping up to something. It was ramping up to a event that is more physical than these sort of floaty muses here. But overall, I mean, the context of it really does sort of capture our world, but in a slightly different sense. Sort of speaking to possibilities if we do continue down a very similar path, which I loved. And then I also loved how James was just walking through buildings and saying how different buildings can take you back like 100 years, or it can thrust you in to the future. So we get a solid sense of like how James is thinking within this moment, huh?
Sorry, was the 100? Oh, okay, right at the end.
Yeah,
okay,
the end,
sorry.
Yeah.
But what did you mean about the like different possibilities and stuff? What did you mean by that?
Oh well, no, I'm just basically how this story is working off a version of the Earth that is, of course, frozen.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you mean like in the future everything's frozen or something.
No.
I was confused.
No, just how this world has varying similarities to our own, but they're also filtered through the perception of James, which I really do like. So yeah, overall, really solid start to a wider story. It seems, and I like how there's a attention to sound, attention to sight, really hitting on all of the senses. So yeah, overall, really great start here.
Yeah, definitely. And this is, it's a common trope of like freezing time, but like, I think those kind of things are really fun and good for you to, jump into and play with, right? Like, using, like tropes that already exist is actually like a great way to have some stable ground to build off of and to explore through your own, lens, right? Like, is a lens that, Dark Beer Rules is going to work through, is that like the whole like being alone in time? Is it the like freedom from responsibility, and what do you do with that? The sort of ethics of being sort of like all powerful like this. There's a lot of methods to go through these things. But okay, the next story.
Yeah, so the next story is by Jarby Jazz with a series of interludes.
So this is cool. This is sort of a bit of poetry that Jarby Jazz has done. At least it starts off that way, very much feeling like poetry, with a very whimsical view of the world. But closer to the end, we sort of pull back into this scene, this reality, where this... it seems like the narration is from this homunculus, this gray flesh construct with a featureless body that just shifts and moves, but does not have a mouth. And its master is sort of saying, no, I'm not going to give you a mouth, and implying that all these other homunculi are sort of this master's eyes and ears and servants for it. And then finally, we sort of realize that this is in that same universe that Jarby Jess has been writing for a while with the Fleshcrafters, and this is sort of the patchwork scary creature that hired the assassin that killed the parents of those little girls in the other story.
But yeah, no, this story is very quaint and cute. It is sort of really working to establish a solid tone with these lines that are very filled with imagery, really. And I do like how it seems that the persona of this story is also questioning things on the shackles, on the restraints, and we're just getting a solid sense of this world through this sort of half prose, half poetic telling of this place. So yeah, it's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely felt a bit alien, especially as we realize the narration is this homunculus, but it is not even. It's there's barely any sign that it is the one narrating. Like there's no, all the pronouns are just like it, not even like this one or anything like that. But yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, really, really great piece. But all right, up next is by Flower Priest with A Miracle in Spring.
So this is definitely poetry all the way through. I'm not entirely. I'm not sure how to approach these, but there's this sort of theme about. I don't know what actually was your interpretation. I had a couple, but I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah, let me skim through it real quick, because it is talking not only about small details, but it is really pointing towards the grander scope of things. It's talking about giants, gods, aliens. It's talking about architecture that of their destruction. So I'm getting a sense of this poem is trying to encapsulate the feeling of a wasteland scenery, in a sense, but it's also sort of harping on how hope is sort of left, how you wake up in a world that is cold, how you wake up in a world that's like post-God, it seems.
Sure. What do you think it is, like, literally?
Literally? It's actually hard to say, because the ending really is hinting at friendship in these dark places. So it does feel that. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought it might have been like about. Well, my first actually thought was it was about cicadas, but in retrospect, it probably is about squirrels because of acorns. But they like waking up from their long sleep. And like hibernation, greatest treasure, livelihood had been safely stored, but now it's all gone because the mighty giants, when they built their monuments like buildings, and the mighty giants are us.
I see that. Okay.
And ignored the scrolls and such when they scrambled to find anything that would save them from having to watch their children starve. There's a couple things I don't quite understand, like the luminous friend remains encouraging to move even through the effort, even though the effort is wasteless. The dark friend, I'm not entirely sure what that is. Maybe the moon? And maybe brings its moon, dark predators.
Or is the moon the luminous friend?
Yeah, it might be. I'm not sure.
Huh.
And then
because that is a different reading than what I have. But yeah, after like hearing you talk about how this could be a like sort of linked closer to a squirrel's perspective, or just a smaller creature's perspective, it is definitely sort of coloring it differently, and it does make a lot of sense within.
Yeah, there's this bit at the end, a young giant, so a young person, a child maybe. Mm-hmm. Her hands are filled with treasure, the same treasures that they had hidden, like acorns. And they start to prepare to fight and bash and bite and smash and gnaw. But instead, the human shares their treasures openly and talks to them in alien words that they can't understand because they're animals. And but they feel like, yeah, reassured because there's clearly like a friend out here that they don't understand, but is there to keep them company at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's crazy how we did take very different readings from this.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the piece on the Sin tactical level, I think that this is really ripe with great not only imagery, but a lot of lines that can lead you in different places. I do have some questions about what this friend is, specifically this Luminous friend. But after sort of hearing your own perspective, I am able to understand who the giants probably are, who these gods are, who these dark predators are. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this story is just a really solid one, and it definitely just deserves a couple of reads to really get the full grunt of it. And I think even after us talking about it, there's probably still stuff within this that we have missed. Maybe certain allusions to maybe global warming that could be latent in this. So very interesting.
Yeah, like all poetry definitely calls for multiple reads. And obviously beyond the literal level, there is, like the actual like sort of feelings being carried out here. Like, the main message here is that even though you are in the dark, even though things are bad, do understand that not all is lost, while you still have friends accompanying you in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really great piece to Flower Priest. And up next is by Walkerbyfaith with The Crutch, Part 2.
Yeah, so this is a sequel to the story that we read last week about the recovering alcoholic that is slipping back into alcoholism. And here we are in the perspective of one of his friends, or like a love interest from the AA meetings, who receives a call that he's dead because he started drinking again. We don't know exactly what happened, whether he drank far too much and just like died of alcohol poisoning, or if he drank and drove again and died that way. But we know that he's gone, and we're just in Sarah's perspective as she sort of reacts to the phone call that she's received telling her, and she sort of reflects on the small relationship that she's had with him. This sort of like sad thing of losing someone that you weren't even that close to, but did have some very special moments, and a little bit of like that romance that they had. And now he's just gone. And but at the end here, there's a small miracle where the squirrels have left a bunch of acorns out, and somehow they spell the word "yours," which is meaningful to their relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, on the same things that like you were sort of saying about it, I really do like how this is a story about sort of coming to terms with that loss, but also connection. And I feel that, especially in the time of life that I'm at, I really do understand this character. You know, how he's sort of musing on the past, sort of grappling with the fact that this person is lost to them, but those moments that they shared wasn't, right? I think that this is a nice continuation of the last piece. It doesn't really, I guess, focus so much on the addiction aspect, but sort of branches out to a more general understanding of the struggles that this character is going through. So through that, and through me also being in a very similar place, I feel I really do come to feel for this character, you know, with all of their questions, all of their wonderings, all of their musing. And I do like how the ending, after the bulk of it being in a sort of dire and sort of grieving place, sort of does give us a sense of hope at the very end. That even though you will never have the same moments that you did have in the past with this person, there's always hope. There's always the future, and then there's always the people within your life that are still there. So, yeah, this story seems very fully accomplished, and I think that definitely the first entry is serving to be a great jumping off point for a lot of other muses on different aspects of this person's life. So, a really great job, especially for your second entry. Really great job.
Yeah, for a small critique, I felt like the Acorn spelling out the word at the end, I feel like that is like a small miracle, and it felt like a little too neat for that just to sort of happen. Not that, like, I know we're talking about miracles, but I think to make it feel more like less like just magic, more like a normal miracle that happens in every day. If it was something like the word, if she like squinted her eyes or something, or some other thing where it's like it doesn't perfectly spell out the words, the word yours, right? If it's just like, if she looked at it in just the right way, it made her think that it said that. You know what I mean? Like, rather than add some ambiguity into it, rather than full on making it actually say it. Like an example of another way it would feel more like natural is if like she's somewhere outside and then sees like a appealing sign that used to have a full sentence but now only says the word yours, right? Where it's like that's just a strange coincidence, but it's a meaningful coincidence,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange but meaningful, which is a simile to this story within itself.
That's what they called me in high school.
Strange but meaningful. Hey,
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
Nope.
But all right, on to our next story, which is by Wow Flaky 1654, and this story seems to be untitled.
Yeah, so this is Wallflaky's first story with us, so thank you for joining us. And this is sort of a stream of consciousness from the perspective of a very excitable squirrel. It is very cute, where the squirrel thinks being chased by a dog is like a game. It's just eaten a bunch of like cake, and it's very happy about it. But the old man, whose cake Benji the squirrel has eaten from, is very angry about it. The cake was supposed to be for his I think his granddaughter, right? Or was it just daughter?
Let's see.
Oh yeah, for his daughter. And
for my daughter,
so yeah, Benji feels a bit sad about all of this. So he decides to go to the sort of mystical, magical witch sort of creature in the area, and travels down underneath the tunnel to try to make it up to the old man. And he gives some acorns over to this terrifying, probably a snake-like creature that lives in this putrid roots of this tree, and receives a drop of amber in return. And he's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to give it to the old man, right? And fix everything. And he goes and he drops it into Mr. Stout's drink, who drinks it. And Benji's all happy about it until, strangely, some sirens arrive at the house, and Mr. Stout is lying down on a thing and being carried into the boxes, which is very, very strange. And he decides to keep the dog company until the bright boxes come back, but ended up waiting a very long time. Which is very sad.
Very sad, yes.
He just wanted to make this old man happy, and instead he killed him.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think that's why I really do love this story. It's because it does start off in this sort of almost Tom and Jerry-esque slapstick comedy routine in the very beginning, but then quickly turns into this magical journey for this character of Benji to sort of absolve his self of the wrong, I guess, quote unquote, wrongdoing of taking away this daughter's birthday cake, for it all to end in Benji mistakenly murdering this man, right? But I do like how, even though we are going through these sort of like darker tones, there is such a strong sense of innocence within Benji. How Benji simply just can't understand. Why is he on the ground? Why is he being carted away? And it's funny to sort of see how Benji's good intentions were for naught because of the fact of him going to this rotted tree spirit and thinking that thing somehow had good intentions is beyond me. But overall, I beyond that, looking at the prose, I love how sort of tight this story is. It is very rapid pace. We can see that from the very first line, which I really do like. It's sort of throwing us in the story and then telling us to sort of run with it, which I enjoyed. And nothing within this story seemed extra. Everything seemed that it was following along a solid linear path. Me getting the sense that the writer knew where they wanted this story to end right before they began, which is really great, and it shows that attention to a detail within such a small story. So great job.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot of fun, and probably some very good practice for practicing some of those character voices. And definitely has a miracle in it, although it's not a good one.
Yeah, it's a negative miracle, which I guess is a curse, right?
I guess so. I'm not entirely sure.
True. But thank you so much for writing in. This is your first time, and we're so happy to have you. Wow, Flaky 1654. So I guess now it's high time to move on into our last story for this week, which is also by Walkerbyfaith. Thanks for sending out two stories. I can see you really had a lot to say this week. And this second story is titled Olivia's Treehouse.
Yeah, so since this is the second piece that we're talking about, and Walkerbyfaith says that this is an old story that they've just polished for this, I'm gonna very much shorten the usual summary, and just talk about how this is a story of this character Olivia grieving after her father has passed away, and sort of reflecting on how each family member is dealing with it. And she doesn't like how any of the family members are dealing with it, but she goes into the old treehouse that they built together and sees the book Where the Wild Things Are, and remembers him, and feels a surprise because on the dust on the book is her father's hand, a small miracle perhaps.
Yeah. So the bulk of this story is filled with these larger paragraphs that are not only as establishing a place but also establishing a mood and tone within these characters. So I think that this story is really accomplished in that fact of giving us a solid basis on who this character of Olivia is, while also going back through her own history with her father and just showing her father through her own eyes while not really showing her father from a objective point of view, which really does add to the sort of sentimentality of this piece. And I do like how it ends. It does end in a sort of saddish place where this father is gone, but we also get a sense that the memory and the history of the father is still with Olivia, and that she will remember and probably read through many of his books later on in her history. So again, this is a really nice story that's really sort of outlining the grieving process, and I am here for it. I really dig it.
Yeah, I like most is the reflections on how the other characters are grieving and how kind of judgy Olivia is about it. Like, I mean, they're pretty much all really valid, and she's just kind of maybe just angry. But so I felt like the very ending where she's finally sort of breaking down after seeing the book, I feel like that could have been stretched out a bit further, and like diving into perhaps a specific moment and maybe really getting us into whatever that scene is by like having maybe some dialogue from her father in that past scene, something meaningful that he said that is really like shaking her now that he's just gone. Yeah, so having like a moment like that to really hit us with the emotion of the loss, I think would have really elevated this piece. But I very much enjoyed the exploration of grief here. But okay, that is all of our listener submitted stories. So let's give a quick thank you to everyone that left a story.
Yeah, so thank you so much to everyone who left a story. Without y'all, of course, this podcast would be Trey short. But thank you so much to Dark Beer Rules.
Thank you to Captain Rhino.
Thank you, Jarby Jazz.
Thank you, Flower Priest.
Thank you, Walkerbyfaith.
And thank you, Wild Flaky 1654.
And we would also like to say thank you to everyone who left comments. Leaving comments not only under your own story, but under someone else's story can combine all of your collective ideas on your story so that other people can see it and comment on it. But you're also providing someone else with crucial feedback that can only improve them and you as a writer. So thank you so much to Captain Rhino, Jarby Jazz, Flower Priest, Glittering Coast, and Walkerbyfaith. Thank you so much for leaving comments.
Yeah, y'all did a great job this week.
If you want to be like all of these wonderful writers and submit your story to Do the Right Thing, you can do that by going to Reddit at /r/Do the Right Thing. All you have to do is sit down for 30 minutes and write a complete short story using 3 or 4 randomly generated words.
That's right. If you want to see the words as soon as they come out, as well as any other important announcements, like the announcement that this today's episode would be a day late on account of your finals and my whole like moving thing, you can do that by following us on Twitter at RightThingCast. You can also send us an email at rightthingcast@gmail.com and say hi and say bye and say I made a pie. Die. Please don't send the hate mail that tells me to die. I wouldn't appreciate that. But yeah, or you can send me a direct DM at alexandra@doofmedia.com. So
nice.
You know, if you just wanna
slide in.
Do you wanna chat a little bit, you know? Send it, we could write like little 30-minute stories about each other.
Aww,
we could write
cute.
a short story with the words you are sexy. Really sexy is the other word. It was you are really sexy.
You are
sexy,
write 30 minutes. Really sexy.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly correct. But okay.
Well,
let's get into.
Hold on now.
Yeah. Yes.
We got other stuff.
Yeah, that's totally what I was going to say. I was going to say, let's get into the stuff that Doof Media is doing.
Yeah. Well, also, I want to say, if they want to support us and everything else happening in Doof Media, all of the upcoming things in Doof Media we will be talking about after this. But if you want to support us, you can do that by donating to the Doof Media Patreon. Of course, you probably know by now that the Doof Media Discord is free, so please hop in, chat with us. It's a great time in there. But if you choose to donate $10 or more per month, you get access to exclusive bonus content, including the latest episode of Doof Over, which we are planning on sitting down sometime in the next couple of weeks and cracking out a few of them for you.
Yeah, and of course there's so many other things going on at Doof Media. Pale's been doing some really cool stuff recently. Obviously last week we had the Doof book club. And actually me and another friend are actually about to start another podcast, so we'll be joining the network. I should maybe wait till it's like a full announcement, but I'm very excited about it because it's another media analysis podcast, and my co-host is very, very excited to put it on. So yeah, that's going to be really, really cool. And I hope that when it does come out that y'all go check it out and tell people to check it out because it's cool. Additionally, there's a lot of other things going on at Doof Media. One thing that we're actually streaming, something that we streamed yesterday, which unfortunately I was not paying enough attention to announce, but we've been doing a lot of community watches, right? Where we go on Discord and we all watch something together. Yesterday was both the Star Wars Holiday Special and Shrek the Halls, and so I'm very bummed out that I missed that, but that's just my hubris and I should have paid more attention. So if you want to be part of whenever we stream something like that and all talk about Star Wars, the Holiday Special or Shrek the Halls, go ahead and join the Discord and keep an eye on that.
But all right, I think it's high time to roll on into next week's words.
That's right. Keeping in mind that the theme for the month of December is, I know it's, wait, how did I phrase it? Miracles. Just miracles. It's miracles. Yep.
Cool. So, next week's words are candle, just, burst, and prestige.
Some fun words here. Candle, which is a device usually made of. Oh, we both use the word device. That's interesting. Which is, I feel like it's an unconventional way to describe a candle. But yes, a device made of wax with a string going through it that you can light, and slowly it will burn all the way down, with providing some light, some heat, but neither much of either. But they're also very romantic. They're used in rituals.
Yes.
They're used in sexy rituals.
Ooh. Candles are also used in phrases like you can't put a candle to him, meaning that it's hard to reach his status, and it's hard to even get on the same plane of luminosity. Candle. Yeah.
My thought of how that saying works is it's a candle compared to a full on fire, right?
Yes.
Is that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Basically, a candle compared to a torch.
Yeah, and then not even that. Yeah. An obscure reference is that one way that some people try to predict the stock market is using these graphs that look like candles.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's kind of really dumb. But there's entire books on it, and people are sometimes successful with them, but usually they lose a lot because they didn't interpret the candles correctly, obviously. But anyway, so if you want, I don't know, that's something you could write a story about.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next word is dust,
just
which is very
J.
light
just
gatherings of matter. Oh, what?
Yep.
Oh,
just. With a J.
just. Whoops. Well, please cut that.
Mm-hmm.
So just as in, actually, yeah. What would you? I guess. Something is just.
Something is just, which means that something is. It basically is justified. It follows a justice system.
Yeah.
Someone would say that my claim to the throne is just, meaning it is deserved. Yeah.
If you want to use the word justice or anything else
Justified,
that has the meaning of just, those are totally acceptable too. But okay, the next word being burst is something when something sort of explodes. Usually, I think there's a connotation of liquids.
Yes,
right.
A pimple burst,
viscera, a pickle burst. Your intestine can burst.
Mm-hmm.
You
can be bursting with joy.
Yeah, your heart can burst with love for someone. It's usually something inside has overwhelmed the container. And Prestige is a movie.
Yes.
Which I don't know anything about actually at all.
It's okay. It's weird.
Oh, good.
It's about cloning.
But interesting. Well, actually, that maybe makes sense. So Prestige in general is just honor, right? It is
it's rank.
Accolades, yes. And the only other context of which I know the word prestige, other than those two, is in Call of Duty.
Yes.
When you reach the highest rank, you can prestige, and you start over at the bottom, but this time you're prestige level 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know what that does.
Well, it's just like a hard a reset. It's also like gloating rights because I know at my middle school table, I was with a bunch of guys who were like talking about, oh yeah, I'm like prestige 10, I'm like prestige 7. And, it's a lot about bragging rights, really.
Okay,
because you're literally just playing the same game over again to get an extra number. So like Dark Souls in a sense.
So like yeah, Dark Souls New Game Plus is prestige. Prestige. It's a lot. New Game Plus is a lot of fun. I want to play Dark Souls again. I want to play Dark Souls with that Halo mod. Did y'all know there's a Halo mod for Dark Souls where they put in Halo guns in Dark Souls and it actually feels like good shooting mechanics in Dark Souls? It's wild.
Yeah,
it's absolutely wild. And it's making it really hard not to get addicted again.
Yeah, and I mean, like honestly, for some reason, over the course of this podcast, I was bitten by the Bloodborne bug, so I'm actually re-downloading Bloodborne right now.
You should get yourself checked out. I think you can get Lyme disease that way. So
yeah, probably. It's probably not terribly good for me. To
real quick,
walking through the streets of Yarnum again.
Yes, Yarnum with Lyme disease. Can you give me a quick the one word story?
Yeah, so
with the
quick
4 words.
1 word story.
Can you pull a miracle and use all 4 words?
Yes.
Right now.
The candle was just in its luminosity as Patrick walked down the dusty corridor. He was bursting with pride, knowing that in mere moments he would enter the inner sanctum to be greeted and granted with numerous accolades over the slaughter that he just caused the small village outside. After the end of this service, he will prestige past his measly rank of hunter to a veteran, legendary hunter whose name will be in the mouths of young for generations to come.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. What about you? What is your 3-word story? What's your 3-sentence story? I'm getting
3-sentence story. Okay. Well, so this is more of a wondering than a whole story. Mm-hmm. So my question is, so when you melt a candle down all the way, right?
Yeah.
But then you gather up the wax, and then you make a new candle with it. Does that mean that the candle prestiged into a new, it's a prestiged candle? Because it restarted? Is that it?
Interesting.
My interest, my curiosity is just bursting in me. Yep.
Wow. Well, you know what?
That's 2 sentences. Woo!
As I ponder over your very philosophical, metaphysical question, I'm going to make sure to do the right thing and drink my water today.
Come visit me in New York, y'all. Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Also watch BoJack Horseman for some unrelated reason.